Good evening, you're watching Estuary News, I'm Hugh Riches. In the headlines tonight, Humberside Police must do more for vulnerable children, protecting jobs in Grimsby and tackling mental ill health in young men in Hull. And later in tonight's programme, our very own Luke with the latest from the local arts scene. And before that, Jake West on a new play in Scunthorpe. Humberside Police Force needs to do more to protect vulnerable children, according to Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary. The review says a new database is partly responsible for slow progress in improving outcomes for children. Only 26% of the cases looked at by the Inspectorate were of a good standard. The rest were graded as requiring improvement or inadequate. Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary, Matt Parr, said he's concerned about the force's progress. Detective Superintendent Matt Hutchinson said Humberside Police has put huge investment into how they work with partner agencies to share information and provide specialist training for staff. Meanwhile, Lincolnshire Police has purchased 5,000 extra spit guards. The devices are used to stop individuals spitting at or biting police officers. A hood of mesh material is placed over the head of a person who seems likely to attack an officer. Between the start of April 2017 and the end of November, there were 107 occasions where officers reported being spat at. The MP for Great Grimsby has welcomed 200 new jobs in the town. Melanie On said the announcement that Young's Seafood has won 3 new contracts from M&S will help job growth in the area. Young's will supply the high street chain with chilled and frozen coated fish, salmon and whitefish. Last week, the 5-star fish factory announced 400 jobs will be lost with the closure of the factory. The company's management has said it can redistribute work on other sites and that it would prefer rival employers if they didn't poach its skilled workforce.
We've had a real mixed bag in the last few days. First, we had an announcement from 5-star Fish that around 390 jobs are likely to go over the next 6 months because of the inability for them really to fulfil a Marks & Spencer's contract and make any kind of profit. So one of the first things that I did was get in touch with Marks & Spencer and say, please, can you make sure that you keep that contract local? And I'm very pleased that that does seem to be happening. We had a local fast food company get in touch to say that they had 25 manufacturing jobs going. We also had news from Morrison's that they had 100 vacancies as they seek to expand as well. But on top of that, we've had really good news from Young's. It seems that Marks & Spencer's are likely to continue the contract, but with Young's. And as Young's have decided to close one of their other factories, they're bringing all of that production to Grimsby, to the Humberston Road site. So we will see an increase of around 200 jobs there. So it's really welcome news, but really as part of a much more mixed picture on the employment front. Obviously what we'd like to see is greater growth, but this is certainly a step in the right direction.
North East Lincolnshire Council is to consider proposals to dispose of a Grade 2 listed building in Grimsby. The local authority wants to sell Wellhome Galleries so it can be given a new lease of life by a new owner. The building was a museum and art gallery but closed in 2004. Plans to turn the building into a theatre were never realised. A final decision will be made by the Cabinet next Wednesday. A new mental health group has been set up for men in Hull. A branch of Andy's Man Club provides men of all ages in the city with a place to share their feelings in a relaxed, friendly environment. The group meets every Monday at 7 p.m. at the Airco Business Lounge on Goulton Street. Leon McQuaid, founder of the group, says it helps to break down the stigma surrounding mental health.
Yeah, the big thing is there's been a massive stigma around mental health, and I was touched on it in terms of a very close rugby coach of mine tragically took his own life, a guy called Roy Bennett, and that was the first time I'd really sort of heard about Andy's Man Club because of a big beneficiary boxing match that got done, and it was just from the back of that I'd had some close friends who'd been suffering with anxiety and depression, and then in the business I run, there's a lot of members of staff, and it was coming up more and more, people having depression in different areas, and I was speaking to our HR department, and it was basically, you can't really do anything, it's a stigma, it's not okay to talk, and it was, for me, that was very tragic, because I was sat there thinking, well, we've got friends, other people, and I've been very fortunate, I've got a superb network of friends, and I was always talking. And it just came that I was on holiday and the wife had messaged me and said, have a look at this Andy's Man Club. And when I saw what it's about and what was happening, I just felt impelled to get involved. And at times, you know, when we run these clubs, it's real simple, real informal. We're just there to listen and help and guide, as good friends do.
And a couple of lads had the courage to come through the door. They sat down, had a chat, and then from there on, it sort of snowballed. You know, we've had from some weeks it can be between sort of 7 to 10 people. One week, I think our highest was around 50, 60 people. We had to split the groups up. There's no, you know, extra special structure there. It's just a group of guys sitting down and having an opportunity, having a platform to be able to just have a chat. You know, have a chat, talk about things they wouldn't necessarily talk to their close friends about or their families about, because there is that stigma there. And because we have that open discussion, as I said, it works. You know, people come in, people who are very, very, very stressed, all different sort of levels of stress, and then they go away feeling unbelievable. They go away feeling 10 times better. Then they go out and they talk, and that obviously creates momentum, and that's received very, very well.
It helps me help the other lads that are here, because I'm on a journey myself where I've suffered with mental illness for several years, and focusing on this has helped me, and watching the other people come through their journeys, different experiences, what they've done. And years ago, me and John Dimmock, who is another facilitator, we coached these lads from a very young age up to being grown-ups, so we've watched them grow from so high up to going drinking with them, and watching them with their journey as well, how they help other people has been great.
And we're there for that guy who wants to reach out, maybe don't want to be categorised, but we're also there for the guys who are going through the system just to come and share ideas, because we've got a lot of guys who have been in the system and are a bit deflated with it, and they're brainstorming, they're sharing ideas, we're sharing books, and it's just a really great format to be part of.
A body created to overhaul transport in northern England took up its powers for the first time today. Transport for the North held its first board meeting in Liverpool, attended by Transport Minister Joe Johnson. The body will advise the government on transport strategy and ratify a 30-year road and railway upgrade scheme. It includes more detail on the vision for Northern Powerhouse Railways. The Hospital Players of Scunthorpe are about to perform their next production based on a comedy by Richard Harris. And I'm joined now by one of the cast, Jake West, to tell me a little bit more. Jake, welcome. Thank you very much for coming in.
Well, thank you for inviting us, Hugh.
What is the play?
The play is called Outside Edge, and we're performing it at Scunthorpe's Plowright Theatre from April the 24th to the 28th.
Plowright Theatre, that's a very theatrical name.
Yes, and it's named after probably one of the most theatrical people in the country. It's Joan Plowright. The theatre is named after, obviously from the Scunthorpe area, and in recognition of her glorious career.
Didn't she used to be married to Laurence Olivier?
She certainly did, yes.
OK, all right, let's get all the name dropping out of the way.
Yes, all the lovely stuff.
Outside Edge, what's it about? Sounds a bit crickety to me.
Absolutely, it's about a cricket team who are preparing for and then playing a game of cricket against their bitter rivals. And just about everything that can go wrong does go wrong.
It's a comedy, of course.
Absolutely, yes.
It's based, I seem to remember the name from a television series in the 1990s?
Yes, the play was originally written in 1979 by Richard Harris, and he adapted it for television in the 90s. And it starred the likes of Robert Dawes, Brendan Blethyn, Timothy Spall and Josie Lawrence.
Yep, lovely Josie Lawrence. And where can people get tickets for your production?
Well, the tickets normally retail at £10 each, but we are running a special offer where you can get 2 tickets for £10.60. Now, you have to order the tickets through our website, and that's www.thehospitalplayers.co.uk, and you have to get your order in before the 16th of April.
OK. The Hospital Players. Now, that suggests to me that you're all going to be coming in on crutches or plastered legs or something like that.
We don't take the phrase break a leg that literally. There's a little bit of history to that. So back in the Second World War, the local fire watchers who looked out for falling bombs were based at the hospital because it was the best vantage point. We didn't get bombed very much in Scunthorpe, luckily. So to pass the time, they started reading plays, and they decided to put on a play to raise money for the hospital.
That's a brilliant history, isn't it?
It's lovely. I mean, it sounds like an episode of Dad's Army,
It
but
does.
it's a really nice story, and we're very proud of the legacy.
This play that's coming up now, how long has it been in rehearsal?
We've been rehearsing it now since February. We lost a week's rehearsal because of the snow, unfortunately, but we've made up the time and it's progressing really nicely.
And who are you playing?
I'm playing Roger, the captain of the cricket team, who thinks he's terribly organised, but in truth, it's his wife Miriam who does most of the running around.
This is a matriarchal subplot going on here, as so often in British comedy.
Absolutely.
And cricket, of course, it makes us think of the summer long shadows, glasses of Pimm's in the pavilion,
Yes, warm beer.
the warm beer, the crack of leather on willow and all that sort of thing. Is this a summer production? Is this going to welcome in the spring for us?
I think it will warm the cockles of people's hearts, no matter what the weather's like outside.
OK, so this is the Plowright Theatre in Scunthorpe. What are the dates again, please?
April the 24th to the 28th.
And tickets available via your website,
Our website,
which is
www.thehospitalplayers.co.uk.
Jake, I'm sure it'll be an absolute success. Sounds absolutely brilliant. It's what we need now, is a nice sunny comedy just to get us out of this tedious winter. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Join me after the break. Jack will bring us a roundup of all the latest sports action and the latest from the local arts scene with Luke. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Jack brings us a roundup of all the latest sporting action, and our very own Luke joins me with a roundup of the local arts scene. A new work of art will see some of Hull's most treasured landmarks lit up from tonight. The lights have been specially designed by artist Nayan Kulkarni and will come on every evening after sunset. The illuminations will be on show until Sunday, but will also celebrate key dates and events throughout the year. Buildings lit up include Hull City Hall and Hull Minster, and statues including Queen Victoria and Andrew Marvell. Patients coming into Hull Royal Infirmary and Castle Hill Hospital will be encouraged to take off their pyjamas as part of a national campaign. Hull and East Yorkshire Hospitals NHS Trust is launching #EndPJ-Paralysis, a 70-day initiative running in hospitals from the 17th of April until the 26th of June to get patients wearing everyday clothes instead of nightwear. It's part of a national campaign to achieve 1 million patient days of people dressed and back on their feet as part of the NHS's 70th anniversary celebrations. Staff at the Trust will download a special app to record the number of days patients are in their normal clothes to join hospitals around the country aiming to hit the 1 million days target. Stephen Joseph Theatre in Scarborough is holding free singing workshops to budding songwriters. Led by Max Kinman and Ben Sellers, Noise will invite 8 to 19-year-olds to try something new, including DJing, songwriting, singing and guitar playing. The sessions are on the 7th of April at the YMCA on St Thomas's Street and the 14th of April at St James's Community Arts Centre on Seymour Road. Osborne Street and Bethlehem Street in Grimsby will be closed on Sunday. Work will be done on the footway and carriageway to correct defects from the town centre improvement scheme, which was allegedly finished in 2016. Access to Grimsby train station will be maintained, but some localised diversion routes will be in place. Work takes place from 7 a.m. on Sunday until 5 a.m. on Monday. A new book has been published with a collection of memories of life in the East Riding during the 20th century. Time of Old Retold is the conclusion of an oral history project in 2017 by the Archives and Local Studies Service, edited by Dr. Alex Ombler. Extracts from the range of recordings of local individuals and communities include domestic life, transport, entertainment and the Second World War. The book is illustrated with photographs from across the county. It's available now from the Treasure House in Beverley. And talking of treasure houses, I'm joined now by our very own Luke with the latest news from the local art scene. Luke, welcome. Thanks very much for coming in, as always.
What a very slick link there.
It was
a nice, sweetest things.
A nice segue, wasn't it?
It was Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
And belated Happy Easter. It's all over now for another year. Did you get lots of eggs?
I did. I just got one, actually, yes.
Excellent. I'll share some of mine.
It didn't last very long.
Very
What have
quick.
you got for us
Well,
today?
speaking of food, I also did a segue there, Hugh, from Easter eggs to street food.
Very clever.
The first of Hull Street Food Nights starts this evening. Perfect time to start it because we have a rare bit of sunshine tonight.
Yes.
And that's kicking off at Zebedee's Yard. This event has been running, I think, now for a few years. I haven't actually been to any of them, but I am actually going to go this evening to enjoy the sunshine. And it's basically an array of food stalls dotted about the beautiful Zebedee's Yard area where people can sample food from all over the world.
And that's tonight, is it? It's running until the
That's
6th
correct.
of September, I noticed.
That's right,
Is that every day, or is that just on
I think
Thursdays?
every Thursday or possibly every first Thursday every month. It's
I
one
see.
of those two options.
Okay, well, that sounds absolutely mouth-watering.
So it starts at 4 and it's going on now as we speak.
Excellent. All right, and
good food.
and goes on all night.
Yeah.
Little bit of symphony orchestra action going on here.
New Theatre Royal Lincoln, yes, the English Symphony Orchestra are returning to the venue with their romantic strings repertoire. They was there last year and they are now returning with a programme celebrating the riches of the romantic string repertoire.
Well, it's a very fine repertoire.
Absolutely. There's going to be some music from Elgar there. Songs for Strings will be performed as an adaptation of several of his revered songs. And there's going to be a performance of Dvorak's String Serenade.
Dvorak's, yes. I could never
Dvorak.
think of Dvorak without thinking of that Hovis bread ad with a little boy pushing a bike up the cobbled hill.
That's right. Very nostalgic, Hugh.
That's the New World Symphony.
Very
But
nostalgic.
this is String Serenade, and we'll also be getting the Larker Ascending. That's Vaughan Williams, of course.
That's right, by violin superstar Zoe Bayes. And I didn't know this, chosen again this year as Britain's most loved piece of music.
Lark Ascending. Yeah, well, it's easily accessible, isn't it? And it's
Yes,
certainly
it is.
romantic. Anyway.
Yeah, and it's a nice piece of music.
It is. It's lovely.
It's a nice piece of music.
Moving on, we have I've never heard of Alexander O'Neill.
One of my favourite disco R&B artists of the 80s. I'm thrilled to say I'm in attendance at this on Sunday. He's at the City Hall. He's released a new album in first time in 15 years called Resurrected, I believe, and so obviously he's going to be performing hits from that as well as his extensive back catalogue. The great track, of course, being Criticised, which was a number 4 hit back in 1987.
I was going to discos in 1987.
Was you?
I still have absolutely no recollection of this whatsoever.
It was a huge track here. I'll play it to you
Okay,
sometime.
all right. And he's had a big album called Hearsay.
That's right, yeah, also back in 87. And he was on Celebrity Big Brother in 2015 and walked out in protest.
Oh dear. Okay. Anyway, so that's where and when for him.
Hull City Hall on Sunday evening, and tickets are still available.
Okay, can we just go to prison for a moment?
Of course, yeah, this one sounds really good, doesn't it? This is starting on the 14th of April, running until the, excuse me, the 28th of June, by the HMP Humber Art Department.
Her Majesty's Prisons.
Yeah.
The art department.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an exhibition talking about, well, I would guess everything's very nicely framed in a kind of square shape, isn't it? From
Yeah.
the point of view. But this is prisoners' work, trying, I suppose, expressing what their thoughts are of the outside world.
Yeah, so an interesting angle.
Okay, and very quickly, Sleeping Beauty.
Okay, yes, Sleeping Beauty, a new musical taking place at the Embassy Theatre Skegness, 14th and 15th of April, bringing the classic fairy tale to life on stage.
Thank you very much, Luke. Here is Jack with all the sports.
We'll begin in League One, where a faltering Scunthorpe United are looking to get their playoff aspirations back on track. The Iron dropped out of the top 6 places for the first time since October on Monday, after their game with Plymouth was postponed. The club now sit in 8th position, having not won any of their last 9 league matches. Interim manager Nick Dawes revealed that discussions had taken place with the players following the Easter weekend's fixtures.
What I did was with the players earlier on in the week. You know, I just the only thing that we've spoken about is I just asked them before training on Tuesday if anybody thought that changed things, and the only responses I got were no, it doesn't change a thing, and I'm glad because it doesn't change anything for us.
Yeah.
It's we could be 10th, 8th, 5th or 1st, and at the end of the day, wherever we finish will be down to how many points we get, irrespective of anybody else between now and the end of the season.
Moving on to League Two, and Grimsby Town are gearing up for a massive game against relegation rivals Chesterfield this weekend. The Mariners will take to the field at Grundle Park knowing that only a win will suffice, with the Spyrites breathing down their necks. Town sit 1 place and 4 points above Chesterfield in the table, but they've played 3 more games and have a worse goal difference than Saturday's opponents. One major criticism of Grimsby's plight has been their inability to respond when going a goal down. Manager Michael Jolly agreed that it's been a big problem for the club in the second half of the season.
It's true that we haven't always responded to setbacks in my time with the club as I would wish, but that's understandable, I think, given the run that the team's been on. You know, so I've said elsewhere, you know, this team's been battered in many ways over a 3-month period without having that lift of a victory. So I certainly wouldn't use the word fold, and I think we've made some progress in terms of getting the lads to understand how they can respond to setbacks in games, but you know, the proof's in the pudding, and the next setback that comes, we need to make sure our shoulders go back and we're positive and we try and get back on the front foot.
And in Rugby League, Danny Houghton is set to achieve an impressive personal milestone for Hull FC as they face St Helens tomorrow evening. If, as expected, Houghton is selected to play against the league leaders, it'll be his 300th appearance for the Black and Whites. Hull's captain will become only the 3rd man after Kirk Yeoman and Richard Horne to reach the landmark in the Super League era. The 2016 Steve Prescott Man of Steel made his FC debut back in 2007 against Harlequins, who are now known as London Broncos. That's all for today's sport. Back to Hugh in the studio.
Thank you very much, Jack. That's it for tonight, I'm afraid. If you've a news story for us or you want to get in touch for any other reason, then Facebook and Twitter are available as displayed below, or email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 31553, or you can write to us at Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Laceby Road, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN34 5BQ. We like the old-fashioned ways. Until tomorrow, from all of us here on the team, good evening.